Taoiseach, again, I'd like to raise the issue of supports to small business. I did so last week as well, because in the intervening period, I've spoken to so many small business owners, and they speak about an escalating crisis in the sector. Now, time and time again, I've spoken to both you and Minister Humphreys about the mounting wall of debt that many of these businesses are facing. Yes, you've put loan schemes in place, and they are useful, but interest rates are too high, and loans mean that these businesses are piling debt upon debt. And many of them cannot afford to do this, because the average SME carries between €7,000 and €8,000 in debt extra because of COVID. And many of them, of course, know that when they reopen, it could take 6 months or maybe even 12 before they return to their previous trading position. And in the meantime, they'll be struggling just to stay afloat. Now, as I said, you have your loan scheme in place and your Restart grant, but the take-up is low, Taoiseach. And Minister Humphreys has committed €250 million. But many SMEs will only be able to access the minimum amount of €2,000 because of rates paid last year. And I think if we contrast our response to that of Germany, Germany has €50 billion in federal grants pledged to SMEs. Now, the equivalent for Ireland would be about €2.9 billion. We're talking about €250 million in grant aid. That's about 1/10 what Germany is allocating. I just want to know, why is there a reluctance to step in to support businesses that account for 65% of unemployment and 31% of our exports? And also, Taoiseach, I raised it with you the last day about those businesses that don't pay rates: the wedding industry, the tour operators, the man in the van, the man in the bus, the plumber, the electrician. You did say you would look at that, and again I'm asking, can you confirm that you will? And the other point I want to make, Taoiseach, is that, as often happens in this country, we have an economy within an economy. The 3 regional assemblies have compiled a report on the impact of COVID. Now, it's not good for any region, but it's particularly grim for the North West and the border. And I'll just highlight one particular statistic which reflects overall what is in this report. And it looked at 64 settlements throughout the country and their exposure to significant economic disruption caused by COVID-19. The 2 top towns are Bundoran in Donegal at 75% and Strandhill in Sligo at 70%. And Carrick-on-Shannon comes number 17, mostly in Leitrim, tiny bit in Roscommon, out of 64. So the report makes it clear that the economic impact of COVID is more severely felt in the North West and the border, and we can see the impact in smaller towns and villages. So what I'm saying to you, Taoiseach, is we can't wait any longer, because if we wait too long, viable businesses become vulnerable, and vulnerable businesses are likely to close. My final comment is that at EU level, the unthinkable has happened. They've relaxed the fiscal rules. Written in blood, we had a referendum here on the fiscal rules, yet France and Germany and Denmark all recognise that they have to support their businesses, state aid. So I'm asking you, Taoiseach, in the 50 seconds that's left, to please commit to a significant upgrading and increasing of the supports that we have already in place for SMEs. Thank you.
The fiscal rules, as you'll know from your time as an MEP, always had provision to be relaxed in circumstances like this. They were never what the opponents made them out to be, and indeed they were relaxed. And we will borrow something like 30 billion this year, maybe 10% of GDP, the biggest deficit in a very long time. So we're certainly not being shy when it comes to spending money and borrowing money on behalf of future generations to get us through this crisis. There is in place a rates waiver for 3 months. Tax liabilities are being warehoused. There's a reopening grant of up to 10,000. The uptake is not low, it's actually high. We're going to have to put more money into that because the uptake is so high. There's debt deferral mechanisms from the banks, low-cost loans available, and a whole plethora of other grants, including online trading grants and grants from the LEOs. Yes, we are examining other additional measures, and that work is being done currently by the Department of Business and the Department of Public Expenditure. I am interested to hear what you said about Germany. I didn't know that. That's significant information for me. If it's grants and loans, we're actually in a similar space. If what Germany is doing is all grants, then they're doing a lot more than us. So I'd be interested if you have any more information on that you can share with me. Just in terms of businesses and sole traders that are not rateable, and you did raise this with me last week, we are examining that. The reopening grant is based on a rebate of your rates. Because they don't pay rates, they don't qualify. We're looking perhaps at a different mechanism of maybe giving them some of their income tax back from a previous year as a means to help them get their business going again. So that's what we're examining with regard to that.